Mumbai bombings, India's 9/11, November 2008. Preparation prior to the attack. On November 22nd, Pakistani terrorists who were in their early 20s came into India by sea. They sailed from Karachi on a Pakistani cargo vessel and hijacked an Indian fishing trawler. The whole crew, besides the captain, were killed, and they began sailing for Mumbai. Once they were close to their destination, the captain was beheaded. Since the attackers traveled by sea, they were able to avoid the Indian security checkpoints at the frontier and airports. Taking control and sailing on an Indian vessel, the Indian Coast Guard did not suspect anything. The attackers then separated into two different areas in the city. The handlers trained the attackers all separately, so they did not know each other until the day came for the attacks to take place. The attackers were trained to not be taken alive. They were encouraged to kill by their handlers. They were also reminded that the prestige of Islam was at stake. The attack. There were 10 terrorists involved in the attack on November 26, 2008. 4 teams separated to their previously designated destinations to carry out their mission. 3 teams had only 2 men, and 1 team had 4 men. The first team started at Chhatrapati Shivaji Terminus, which is Mumbai's main train station. There, they were shooting at random people for 90 minutes before police showed up. They were able to escape, and so they moved on to a different location. They then went to Kama Albliss Hospital and moved onto the Trident Hotel. Along the way to the different locations, they were shooting at random people. At the hotel, police were finally able to catch the terrorists, killing 1 and injuring and capturing the second. Second team went to Nariman House, which is a commercial residential complex. There, the attackers threw grenades across the street at a gas station and started shooting at a different building. They then went into the lobby and took 13 hostages. 5 of those hostages ended up being killed. These terrorists were also killed by the police. The third group went to the Trident Hotel. They told media that there were 7 terrorists inside and wanted India to release all the Mujahideen prisoners in order for them to release the hostages. This situation continued on for 17 hours. The terrorists were all killed by police. The last group, which had 4 men, started at the Leopold Cafe, shooting at everyone there. 10 had ended up being killed. Then they moved on, went into the entrance of the Taj Mahal Hotel, starting on the ground floors, working their way up the floors, killing people. They then set fires in the hotel. This attack continued on for 60 hours. Finally, the Indian commandos killed all 4 attackers. In total, 164 people were killed and over 300 were injured. Tools and weapons. Each of the terrorists had their own AK-56 automatic assault rifle with 7 magazines. The attackers also used machine guns and 9mm pistols, hand grenades, and explosive devices. This attack was thoroughly planned and thought through. This attack was very sporadic when it came to weapons and destinations. Usually, terrorist attacks stick with one way to kill, such as suicide bombers or guns. The purpose of many different ways and the constant movement was to create an illusion. It had confused the authorities into thinking there were several more attackers than there really were, which ultimately delayed the response time significantly. The attackers also kept in touch with their handlers during the attacks using victim cell phones and a satellite phone. From a terrorist standpoint, this attack was very significant, and it was a very successful attack. They were able to kill several people, and they were able to almost go according to plan, from changing from location to location and to terrorize people for several days. And that doesn't usually happen over the course of days. Usually it happens in the moment, in an instant, where you have a suicide bomber and a mass shooter where it lasts a few minutes. And then, but this attack had lasted for 2.5 days. And so, for their standpoint, I think that the terrorists were happy with themselves. The only mistake that they had made was that a terrorist was captured alive, because their goal was to not be captured and to die before being captured. Another way that this attack was successful was because they were able to bring people all around the world, and especially the people in the city. There were 12 million people that were fixated on this attack in Mumbai. They were able to control the world for a few days and capture the attention of everybody. I know that a lot of preparation had to go into this attack because they were so highly trained and they were dedicated throughout this whole thing for it to happen. They stayed in contact with their handlers through cell phones, and I think doing so, they were able to remember why they were doing this. I think one of the sad parts of this attack was how long it took the authorities to respond. They took an hour and a half to get to the train station, and then took 60 hours for them to get the situation under control. And unfortunately, they were not quicker to respond. If they had been quicker, like the forces here in the United States are trained to be quick to respond to these kinds of situations, they would have saved several lives. And unfortunately, that was not the case. And here are my sources, and that's it. Thanks for watching.